Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this initial review of this week's Raw. And wow, I don't even know where to start. There are so many talking points. I feel like this video is going to go on for like 2 hours. This was the best Raw I think I've ever seen whilst doing live streams. And I've been live streaming since 2018. This, to me, was special. This was special. I'm still trying to debate the score that I'm going to give it, and we'll think about that at the end of the show. But this is special, and it will get a special score as a result. Let's try and walk through it and see where we get to. So we start with CM Punk arriving. You can see his vehicle pulling up. There he is, walking into the arena with people screaming in the background, chanting CM Punk. He is loved in Chicago. We knew that already. But yeah, great way to start the show. Lots of energy before we really got going. When we went into the arena, we kicked things off with Cody. You can see the Cody signs in the crowds. And I've got to say, this part for me was a little lacking. There was a couple of moments in there, a couple of little digs that he had at Roman and Rock, of course, but I don't know that there was anything really that elevated this above okay. I mean, it was okay. It was pretty safe. It was pretty, you know, just G'ing up the crowds. He even said we're in that awkward 2-week period where the time for talking is really done. It's almost time for fighting. And then, of course, The Rock comes out. Now, we had seen earlier on social media, The Rock was teased that he could be here. And so The Rock comes out and electrifies the place. I mean, there's Rocky chants, there's Rocky sucks chants, there's Cody chants. You got everything going on. This crowd was so good. They were so good. Now, he came down and he whispered something in Cody's ear. So this place goes bananas. There's The Rock. You can see the jackets that he was sporting as well. So, yeah, he comes down and he puts his arms behind his back. He leans in and he whispers something to Cody. And we don't know what he said. We still don't know what he said. But I can tell you, Timothy on the live stream thinks, and I agree with him, that he could work it out. He thinks that The Rock said, "Tonight, I'm going to make you bleed." So he said that, and then The Rock walked away. And, of course, we know that came true. And actually, The Rock said at the end, the prophecy has been fulfilled. So I feel like that is as good an answer as we're going to get. I think that's what was said. It's worth saying that Cody said about that he's going to pay for that guy's bachelor party as well. So Cody said how Roman had said he's like a politician. He makes all of these promises but never delivers. And he said, well, you know, such and such has got a wedding coming up. I'm going to be best man. I'm actually going to pay for the bachelor party, which was news to us. I don't think we knew that. I don't even know if that dude knew that. So, yeah, he said he'll do that. He said he's going to go to that 5-year-old's birthday party. Of course, he promised that as well on one of the house shows. And he said he's going to do all of these things. And he says, like, but I can't do all of this alone. I can't, you know, go to WrestleMania. I need you to ride with me. I need you to fight with me. And he really had, like, the crowd on his side. So, as I said, it was good. It was fine. It was watchable. It was entertaining. But it didn't quite reach the levels that we got later in the show. Then The Rock came out. That was amazing. That was electrifying. That was captivating. He whispers something to Cody, which we think we know what it is. And then on with the show we went. We did try to get an answer from The Rock backstage. So what did The Rock just say to Cody? We tried to get the answer. He said, ask Cody, go and ask Cody. She did, right? She did. Jackie tried to ask Cody, and he said that he doesn't want to repeat it. But, you know, there's no way that The Rock's going to be able to come through with what he said. There's no way he will fulfill the promise that he made, but he did. If it is what we think it is, he did. So, yeah, brilliant. Really interesting. Hot way to open the show. And we knew we still had that CM Punk segment still to come. Right, then we went to our first match, and I've got to tell you, this for me was a little disappointing because we needed to find a way of keeping that energy going. I think they did it. But I don't think we really got to the heights that we could have got to. So Ricochet against JD McDonagh, the community voted, and it came out 97% goods. So we've got all-time, great, good, and bad, right? So good, okay, really. It came out 97% good, which is, that's good. That's really good. That's right at the top end of good. Almost getting into great. But if I was to criticize the show, it would be that matches kept doing that and never quite got into that great category. I think if you're to mark this show down, that's where it's getting marked down. None of the matches getting into that great category. This one getting close though, 97% goods. So Ricochet, JD, lots of outside interference by Dominic putting JD's foot on the rope, Dominic trying to distract, but it still ends up with Ricochet securing the victory. So Ricochet was able to get the win, and amazingly, this got us to like 50 minutes into the show. The Cody segment, the Rock segment, the match between Ricochet and JD, we were about 50 minutes in by this point. Backstage, Judgment Day said they didn't want to be embarrassed, so it's going to be interesting to see if there'll be any fallout to JD losing. They said they didn't want to get embarrassed, but it was really about what was coming next, and what was coming next was CM Punk. There's CM Punk backstage at the Allstate Arena with a Chicago Cubs championship over his shoulder, and wow. Where do you start with this segment? This might be segment of the year. So CM Punk comes out. He said his elbow's not great, but he said his mouth still works. And he said loads of people are asking him, is he going to be host for WrestleMania? And there was a few little cheers for that. And he said, maybe I could be ref for WrestleMania, and people seem to be a lot more on board with that. And he was like, is there a title match that I could be the ref in? And he was having a bit of fun with it. And, you know, he even says about how he listens to the experience and the drive-through at this point, kind of out of nowhere, giving a shout out to Jim Cornette. So he was talking about like the things Roman had been saying, but he says, I don't listen to that. I listen to the experience and the drive-through. The Jim Cornette shout out here is going to have social media in meltdown, because Jim Cornette is sort of synonymous with being anti-AEW. Like, he's took shots at that company from the very beginning. A lot of people would say fairly. Some people might say unfairly. So for CM Punk to say he listens to Jim Cornette, the experience and the drive-through, that got trending. People were talking about that. It was a talking point, right? He said, someone that's not spoke about me is The Rock. He hasn't said a word. And then he said about how The Rock found out 10 years ago that his arms were too short to box with God. What a line, man. He is so charismatic. He delivers these kill shot lines. You know, him mentioning Cornette and him talking about The Rock and how The Rock hasn't dared speak about him. Oh, God, it's so good. And then Drew McIntyre came out, and this thing just went bananas, man. At this point, this thing just went bananas. Guess who just interrupted CM Punk? Drew McIntyre comes out. Now, this is captivating because obviously Drew has said a lot. Drew was trying to come out and I think play by the rules, in the sense of he was trying to come out and cut a promo and like have his time to pause and deliver his lines in as a dramatic fashion as possible. Punk was not having it. Punk was jumping in. Like, if Drew was taking too long, Punk was in there. Bang, shot, dead. Like, he was just jumping in and he was murdering Drew. He was murdering Drew. He said to him, "Are you a Scottish psycho in a kilt, or are you just an internet troll in a skirt?" And he was like, "Get in the ring." He was telling him, "Get in the ring." And Drew was trying to come out with like all of this stuff that you can tell he's kind of pre-thought about, and so he should. And he was just getting sniped. He was just being sniped. Like Punk was just coming in with these quick shots, and it was amazing. And probably the best example of him doing that is the Vince line. This is, I can't even believe it was said. So Drew said, "I was the chosen one," and immediately CM Punk said, "Who chose you? Who chose you? Tell me what vessel of good virtue selected you and said you was the chosen one." They cut back to Drew, and Drew's like, because he knows he got him. He knows he just deaded him. He just deaded him. Drew was the chosen one, chosen by Vince McMahon. How good does that look in 2024? Not very. Oh, so Drew, you're the chosen one. Who chose you? Vince, the guy that we're not even allowed to mention anymore. The guy that's got all these allegations against him. You want to brag about that, do you? You know, what went from being a great line for Drew all of a sudden actually became something which he can't really mention again. He can't call himself the chosen one ever again, because now we're all going to be thinking about, who chose you? Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon. He who shall not be named. Really, that was a put down to Vince, if you will. Because those allegations against Vince, they are allegations, right? And so obviously we don't know yet. Nothing's been proven yet. But it's kind of CM Punk going, "Who chose you?" That guy. The guy that's facing all these allegations. That's the guy that you want to brag about choosing you. It's a shot at Vince on Raw. On Raw. But it's not a cheeky little shot at Vince. You know, like, you know, would have happened in a script back in the day with Stone Cold and all of that. This was a shot at Vince and Vince's current situation. I can't believe that it was done. I don't know if it was checked. I don't know if it was in the moment. I mean, I don't think there will be any pushback on it because they can't really afford to. Because if they push back on it, it's not going to be a good look. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's one of those lines that's just absolutely got my head all kinds of twisted, man. The fact that he had the balls to even come out with that line, because I have no idea that was signed off. I have no idea. I really don't think it would have been signed off by Triple H and everything. I mean, TKO don't want Vince being mentioned. They're trying to distance themselves. I can't see how that line gets signed off. It's amazing. It is when you are seeing something that really blurs the lines like that, and you're like, was that in the script? Did he just fire it off? Drew's reaction looked like it was in the moment. You know you're watching something so special. So special. Then we end up getting Seth coming out. Drew did say, you say you don't do drugs, but you spend all your time in rehab. That was a nice little line. Not as good as the Vince line, but it was a nice little line. And I thought the bit where Drew was saying, "You complete me," I was like, no, that's not the way to go, man. That's not the way to go. You saying it's too tame. Like, you know, you can't come out and say "you complete me." It sounds a bit too much like a love story. It's hard. It's really hard. I mean, CM Punk is one of the absolute best on the microphone. You really have to think things through, and you really have to think about how they're going to be perceived, how they're going to come across, if it's the right tone. I didn't think Drew got everything right, but he had a few nice lines. He tried, you know, that was another moment as well. He tried to show the shirt. You know, he said, "Look, on the back of my shirt, item number 1, take out CM Punk." Punk immediately. I have never needed another man's name on my merch to sell that merch. Immediately. So all of a sudden, with a couple of lines, Drew now can't really rep that merch because all I'm going to look at is CM Punk's name being on it, and then I'll think about what CM Punk said. He can't use the chosen one thing because every time he says it now, we'll be thinking, yeah, who chose you? Vince. He killed him. He killed him. He just came in with these lines that just cut through everything. It cut through all the BS. It cut through all the flowery presentation. And it just killed him. It was amazing by CM Punk. It was amazing. It was a master. It was a master. It was a master of his craft. So, yeah, we had Seth come down into the ring. And basically, Seth, I thought, sort of brought this down. I didn't think Seth made this moment better. He kind of was going on about welcome to my show and all stuff like this. When you've got CM Punk just deading people, anything that's not going to be deading CM Punk is going to be seen as less than. And I thought Seth came out and, you know, welcome to my show and all this. CM Punk responded, look, this might be your show, but this is my city, which was a great line. And then CM Punk was like, let's take a poll of Chicago and let's, you know, I don't think about you. I don't care what you're going to do. Let's see what the people want you to do. And they were like, do you want to see CM Punk on commentary? And the crowd were like, yeah. And then it was like, there was a referee chant that broke out. Now, the problem with this segment is that they were building towards CM Punk going on to commentary, but the people want him as to be referee. That's what they want. They want him as special guest ref. So where we ended up was somewhere less than where the people wanted. The people wanted him to be special guest ref. That's not where we've headed up. We've headed up with him being on commentary instead. And I think that sort of just took away a little bit, you know. What you want is you want the people to want something and then you give them more. You know, it's kind of like the people saying, yeah, we'd love you to be on commentary, and then going, no, he's going to be ref, and them actually getting more. This was the reverse. This was the reverse. The people want him as ref, but he's just going to be on commentary instead. So, yeah, you know, that I thought it didn't massively take away, but when Seth came out, I can't say there was really much that added to it. Punk just said, look, I'll make you both interesting. I'll make you both interesting. Then we got a brawl. Seth super kicked Drew, and Punk walked away, and that's kind of how the segment ended. We did a snap poll. We don't do polls for segments. 50% of you said this was an all-time segment. We're talking hundreds of people voting. 50% said this was all-time. 36% said it was great. 10% said it was good, okay, and 2% said it was bad. So this is an all-time segment. This is officially an all-time segment. 50% all-time segment. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So that was the moment that Punk started to walk away. Will Drew be dreaming broken dreams, or will Seth have his days numbered with that World Heavyweight Championship? Right, that left no time really for anything else. Our second match got no time. This was Ivy and Candice. 69% good. It was very short. That's why I think it did what it needed to do. There's a moment where we actually get Ivy go out the ring, and then Indy Hartwell had a decision to make. Is she going to help Candice whilst the ref was distracted because Candice was selling her knee, or was she going to not get involved? She didn't get involved. At the moment, Candice's heel. Indy does not want to go that way. So absolutely brilliant. Really short, got to the point, had that moment in it. I think the rating's fine. It's not really what this match was about. It's more about the story. I'm sure there's a backstage segment with Candice being upset with Indy for not helping her. But yeah, brilliant. Really, really interesting. This she wanted her to attack and she wouldn't do it. Right, backstage, we then got this moment. This was New Day and DIY. They were facing, and we had Awesome Truth going on to commentary. This, you know, it was really hard, to be honest, following what we had for this to be as captivating. But it doesn't really outstay its welcome. It got an 89% good rating. And I don't know what the official decision was in this one, because the Judgment Day attack, they come down during the match and they attack. basically we end up with the Judgment Day wiping everyone out, and they target R-Truth. I love how R-Truth didn't come to Miz's aid. Miz jumped in when Judgment Day started attacking, but R-Truth was like, I'm on commentary. And he stayed on commentary. That didn't help him though, because Judgment Day still targeted him, and there was this big beatdown of R-Truth. So I think it might be like a no contest, I'm guessing, is what we ended up with. So yeah, I think that's what we ended up with. Who won the War of Words on the mic? For me, CM Punk. CM Punk. We got another announcement as well that Meek Mill will be at WrestleMania. Don't know what he's there to do, but Triple H said, game on. The whole world is on notice. Meek Mill, WrestleMania. So a lot of excitement about that. Right, so we moved on. Backstage, Cody said that he didn't want to repeat what he was told. He said it's a promise that The Rock can't keep. Backstage, Gunther said Sami deep down doesn't believe that he can beat me, and the people don't believe he can beat me either. Then we went to our next match. This got 95% goods, so still not as high as the first match. This was Andrade taking on Giovanni. It was meant to be Andrade taking on Ivar, but we know that Ivar picked up an injury. This was a victory for Andrade, and fine, yeah, 95% good. It just kept the show going, to be honest. Then we got to our next talking point. Oh my God. So Rhea Ripley came out with Dirty Dom, and she said, I feel like a certain someone isn't giving me attention. Becky came out and she said, I'm busting my ass, whereas you are posting yours on the internet, which I thought was a good little line. She said, at WrestleMania, the man is going to give you a new experience. And Rhea called Becky a cockroach, which I thought was a bit off. Again, we've just had an amazing segment with CM Punk. And so there was parts of this that felt a bit, her calling Becky a cockroach. It's a bit tame. It's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard to go back to like a PG promo when we've just had what we've had. But then this happened. She said, I want you to sit next to your daughter, right, when you're watching me with this championship, so that you can hear your daughter call me mommy. Now, this is amazing because I don't know if this was scripted. If it was, Becky's reaction is incredible. If it's not, then Becky's reaction is incredible. The way that Becky responds is she says, you think that's a fun line? She seems genuinely upset. She says, you think that's a fun line? She said, my dad never got to see my daughter. And as she's saying it, she's starting to get upset. Becky, out of nowhere, talking about her dad, she starts to get upset. I don't get this. I don't understand it. We weren't talking about her dad. The line is a simple line. I want your daughter to watch and call me mommy. It's got nothing to do with Becky's dad. But that line seemed to catch Becky off guard, and she started to think about her family. She started to think for some reason about her dad, and she started to get upset. I mean, who knows? Maybe today was his birthday, or maybe today there's an anniversary, or who knows, right? She might be thinking about him anyway. And it just put her into that headspace, and she started to get all emotional and everything. And she almost cries. And this is a moment where I was looking at Rhea, and I really was thinking, like, it felt a bit awkward in the moment. It felt like this had gone off rails. It felt like we had strayed into something quite real in this moment. And I didn't know how it was going to go. I mean, honestly, Rhea could have turned around and went, I'm sorry, and given her a hug or something like this. Like, I didn't expect that, of course. But you've got Becky, like, really getting upset. And it wouldn't surprise me if it turned out Becky was having a go at Rhea backstage. Like, you never talk about my daughter. You never talk about my family. If that's a line that hadn't been signed off before, I don't know. The fact that Becky responded the way she responded caught me, and I feel Rhea off guard. I said on the live stream, I would have stood my ground if I was Rhea. And as she was talking about her dad saying, like, my dad never got to see my daughter and all this, and she started to get upset. If I was Rhea, I would have got the microphone. I would have told her, like, settle down, listen, settle down, guys. I don't care, right? I would have dropped that line in. I know a lot of people might say it was a bit too far, or it's too savage, or something like that, but I think that Rhea has got a wounded animal in front of her. We're building to WrestleMania. We're building up the feuds. And I think right now you've got Becky right where you want her. Finish the job. Stick that knife in deeper, right? It might have gone somewhere that we don't want it to go, and I don't know how Becky responds, but I would be saying I don't care. And I think at that point I'd be looking to chuck the microphone down and I'd be looking to walk away, right? That moment, I think, that moment where Becky's getting upset, for me, felt so real, and I didn't know what was happening, and I was on the edge of my seat. That, to me, is like up there with the Cody stuff from earlier, and the Rock coming out, and it's up there with the CM Punk stuff from earlier with Drew coming out and their interaction. Like, this got to that level, actually, and I don't know that it was ever planned to get to that level. So I loved it. I don't know if it was planned, but basically Becky punches Dominic. Dominic comes over. There's a big brawl that breaks out, and yeah, brilliant. I loved it. Dom just got attacked by the man. It's time for Monday Night Meat. So backstage, Chad Gable was talking to Maxine. Sami walked past. Chad said to Sami, focus on the task at hand. And Sami was like, yeah, you're right. And then we went to this match here. It is worth mentioning that we did see Paul Heyman talking to Drew McIntyre in the background earlier in the show. And I don't know at what point, but we did see Dominic in the background talking to Andrade as well. They're very obvious in the background. You can't help but see them. But those were two conversations that were being had in the background in some backstage moments. I think this might have been the Andrade Dominic one, actually. Then we went to Bronson taking on Sami. So that was our next one. So Bronson and Sami. And basically, Gunther said he didn't think that Sami would win. Gunther came out. He distracts, not by much though, just stands and watches, but it does distract, and Bronson gets the win. Bronson beats Sami, and I love that result because I really thought that Sami was going to get the job done and show I can beat Bronson. Him losing, I think, is so much more interesting. Maybe it starts to put some doubt in Sami's mind. Certainly helps Bronson. So 99% good for that match. The highest rated match on the show. Bronson, Sami Zayn. Then backstage we had Jey. He was doing his promo, and then all of a sudden he looks over. There is Solo. There is Jimmy. Amazing. I just thought it was going to be a killer promo. Was not expecting Solo and Jimmy to get involved. They didn't attack him. They just let him know that they were around. Chad backstage said to Sami, look, you're one of the best I've ever competed against. He said, look, you need a different approach. And he said, I'm here for that. I can help with that. So it does seem like Chad is going to train and work with Sami to try to help overcome Gunther. I don't know that Sami's going to do it at WrestleMania, but Chad being involved and helping, and maybe then getting the first title shot after if Sami wins, definitely has got me wondering now as to which way they're going. But I still think Gunther retains and Chad will get his opportunity after WrestleMania. We did see an LA Knight cosplayer as well. And there was an interesting moment where Seth sort of fired Jey up backstage just before our main event match. He fired him up backstage, but he gave this little look, which I was a bit confused about. So I know there'll be a lot of people talking about that look that Seth gives to Jey. He seems to fire him up, and then there's just this little look where I don't know what he was thinking in that moment. I really don't know. He fires him up goods, tells him to go and win it, go and win the match. But yeah, I'm not sure what that look was from Seth So definitely something to keep an eye on. But we did see Seth come into Jey's aid later. So if it was meant to tease that he might not be, like, you know, on Jey's side, he was. He came down and helped later in the show. So main event match, 96% good. Jey Uso against Shinsuke Nakmaura. This match saw Jey get the victory. But during the match, Jimmy, Uso, and Solo would come down. You can see them coming through the crowd here. That then brought out Seth and Cody to even up the numbers. Drew came down. He attacked Seth, hit a Future Shock DDT on the outside. But Jey got a spear, got the victory. We then went backstage because this is where Solo, I think it was Solo, Jimmy or Solo were brawling with Cody. And wow, this is when we get to the final few moments of this. Wow. Wow. So Cody has just come to help Jey. He's backstage brawling with either Solo or Jimmy. I think he might even end up brawling with both at one point. But The Rock arrives. And wow, just when we think we've seen like the best moment of the year, this might have beaten it. The Rock starts beating up on Cody backstage. There's a backstage brawl. He's destroying him. They're out in the rain. Cody's crawling on the floor. They're over by his bus. At least he hasn't got far to, you know, go. But he's busted open. He gets busted open. Rock says the prophecy is fulfilled. And he said, I've got a message for you, Mama Rhodes. At the end of the day, it didn't have to be like this. And he says, here's the belt, Mama Rhodes. He produces this white belt that's got the Rock's logo on it. Says Mama Rhodes. He gets blood off the face of Cody, wipes it onto this belt. And he says, when you F with the final boss, this is what you get. Look at your son now, Mama Rhodes. Look at your son now. Cody stuck his nose in where it didn't belong. A man of his words. Look at this. Look at this. Absolutely incredible. Look at your son now. And there's the belt. There's the belt. There's the belt with Mama Rhodes written on it. And there's Cody. There's the blood being wiped off Cody's face and put onto that belt. Just like he said he would. Just like he said he would. He'd have that belt specially made for Mama Rhodes with her son's blood on. And he would hand it over to Mama Rhodes at WrestleMania. And the show ends. That, I mean... Let's have a look, shall we? Raw reactions. I mean, awesome. What an effing show. Best Raw ever. You couldn't make room for Liv. No. Best ever. Fire, 10 out of 10. One of the best shows in years. Best Raw since the Attitude Era. Shocked face. Amazing Raw. Wild ending. Best Raw this year. The power is back, WWE. It was amazing. A dub ending. I think for me, I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm going for it. I'm giving it a 9. It doesn't get the 10 because none of the matches got to great. All the matches were good. I think that the Cody bit at the start could have had a little bit more there. I thought the little bit in maybe the Rhea and Becky bit, you know, there was just a few moments I could have tightened there maybe. Match quality, I think, could have been improved. Ending is just a massive dub. I wouldn't have changed a thing about it. I think when Seth comes out during the CM Punk bit, it just lets it down a bit. But these are all minor criticisms. They're minor. But they do probably add up to being a mark, right? That's it. This is one of the best Raws I've ever seen. I think if we had just had a match, a feud that had been built up for a few weeks and they were finally going to fight, Let's say we'd built up Andrade versus Dominic Mysterio and it was quite heated and they were now finally going to fight after we'd built it up over weeks and weeks and weeks. It probably just missed that big, meaningful, juicy encounter, you know? Everything here sort of pushed stories along. We didn't really have any stories end. If we had had a story end here, I think that would have massively helped as well. So these are the things that stop it getting a 10, but oh my, what a show. Normally this video takes about 10-15 minutes. We're 35 minutes in, and I do apologize for that, but we're talking about one of the best Raws I've ever seen. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm going to run away and work on Unseen, which is where we'll get all of that online reaction. Oh, God, that's going to be amazing. And, of course, tomorrow we will do the opinions video where we're going to get your thoughts, your theories, your opinions. So awesome. Thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.